Welcome to today's live. Today's live is about suppressing emotions, and I just want to quickly start by saying that suppressing emotions isn't possible and isn't even meant to be possible, because emotions are energy in motion and they're supposed to flow. So we must only learn how to be aligned with our emotions and how to allow them the flow. And imagine, believe it or not, if we allow all the emotions to flow through us, then our life becomes so much easier. And on the other side, if we don't allow them to flow, unfortunately they manifest into pain, chronic pain, some disease of the body, and something very not nice. So you just need to understand this. It's very basic, it's very, very simple, but for some reason we've been taught that some emotions are good and some are bad. They're not. All of them are neutral, or all of them are at the same level. Grief and anger and happiness and joy and frustration and satisfaction, all of them are on a line. They have all the same value, and usually the unexpressed emotions are the ones that will then start eating us alive and cause our problems. And it's harsh to say it like this, but it's time we realize this, and it's time we embrace it and learn what else we can do about it. But luckily the Instagram world is already filled with many people that have realized this and that are implementing a new approach towards life, and that allow you to be yourself, because now is the time when we're allowed. We have the freedom of speech, we have the connectedness, we have the globalization already taking place and speeding up as we speak, and all the connectedness is here for that reason, because we are all one, and now we're basically at the point of remembering it. But all one, as all humans, we're connected, but within ourselves we're all one. So all the emotions are a part of you. If you're not able to express any of the emotions, then it might be a task you came here with, but also it's just maybe you holding back yourself from all of it, because you're here to have all of it, to receive all of it, to give all of it, and then you reach some kind of a harmony, some kind of a satisfaction. Then you feel that like neutral happiness where you're at peace, basically. Okay, it's not some excitement, but it's an alignment in harmony where everything is neutral. But usually at the beginning of the self-healing journey, or if you are at the state of chronic pain and chronic migraines, that's why I'm here to talk to you. If you're now at that state, then you need to understand that whatever is manifesting in your body or in your mind or wherever, or in your life, even in the situations, in dramatic situations, are the suppressed emotions. It's something, it can be a combination of a suppressed emotion connected to some past memory and the whole ball of layers all together. But through releasing the emotions and allowing yourself to forgive yourself for whatever happened and letting go, you feel that relief. And that's usually when the suppressed emotions that were suppressed and weren't able to be expressed come up, and that's where we need to deal with them. But sometimes it's very scary, because we have been suppressing our emotions for years and years we've never even approached a different perspective. We never even had the opportunity to approach an perspective where we don't have to suppress emotions, okay? Like crying in public, or being angry, or being frustrated, or any of these. And obviously it's best to do it in a controlled way. It's not like it is part of the emotional intelligence and emotional independence, is that you are aware of your emotions, that they are yours, and you allow yourself to release them in a, let's say, controlled environment, or you set yourself conditions that allow you to release those emotions safely, let's say, and not having to exchange them again with others. Because whenever you exchange the emotion, you give an emotional reaction to someone, it's always going to come back to you if you project it into another person, unless the mind pattern is resolved behind it, but that's for another time. And so the most important thing, for example, on the migraine, we can take this as an example. The migraine occurring is a package of emotions, basically, in one point of view. We can view it as this, okay? So whenever the migraine manifests as pain or aura or whatever it manifests as for you, some chronic disharmony, disbalance, something uncomfortable, whatever uncomfortable manifests in your life, then you can view it from one point of view as the suppressed emotions. And now it's a package, it's a combination of frustration, of anger, of victim, of feeling. So this will be like a feeling that you're doing more or not enough, or you're the only one doing, and the rest is just receiving from you, or you're giving too much and not receiving, or you're receiving too much and not giving. Any disbalance basically then manifests into something we notice, okay? But we have to go back into the pattern of it, and we have to go to the origin where the emotions occurred and see, why is it triggering us? Why are we manifesting it into a migraine, for example? Okay, and the body and the mind has learned the best way that it was possible for it to manifest the emotions, because they were suppressed. Okay, so if it's energy in motion and everything is energy, if you suppress it, it stays there, it can just change form, but it cannot disappear if you don't allow it. If you suppress it in your body, it leaves a trace, it leaves burden, it leaves some trace if you don't allow it to come and go, because for some reason you're sticking to it and you're stuck at it, and therefore it stays in the body. And you have learned, because it wasn't safe for you to express your emotions, you have learned how to suppress the emotions. And one example of this is the migraine, is the suppressed emotions that were connected to some trauma. And the trauma can be as insignificant or a significant thing, all parts of your story. So it can be something you have experienced, someone didn't let you go on the roller coaster, for example, okay, when you were small, and then you were frustrated, but then you were told don't cry, and you were told basically, or the best thing you knew was, oh, I'm wrong if I express my emotions freely, so you suppress them, and then they are manifesting into some pain because they accumulate. Because every time a similar situation where you would normally express frustration, so when a similar situation occurs, and maybe when we grow up and become adults, we're still very well programmed, so we go to office and then a boss tells us what to do, but we don't want to do it, but we don't know how to say no, or we don't know how to express our emotions, that we're we're not aligned with that. We don't want to do that, but we agree and agree and agree. And if you agree to something you don't want in your core, then you're suppressing that emotion and you're locking it inside your body. Okay, so that's like the first layer of this. Because it wasn't safe for you to express the emotion, you have learned how to suppress it. And then and then when you go towards the pain and you unleash the powers and you start really focusing on the suppressed emotion and start listening to it, what it's telling you, because also as the emotion, it holds all the information of how it was suppressed or why it's suppressed. Okay, so you have access to your pain, you have access to the emotion center or to some anxiety. It always has some kind of source. It's stored somewhere in your body and you can access it, and it's a database of the information that you need for you to then release it. Okay, so this is the conscious approach in releasing whatever is long-term creating some disbalance in our lives, because obviously we don't want that. We don't want the uncomfortable situation repeating, and usually it takes us until it's very frequent, until the migraines reach to a point of everyday or depression or anxiety. All of this is just accumulation, so you can approach it even if you have one migraine a year, because there is some suppression happening, and if you have one migraine per day or two per day even. Okay, so you can access it directly, and you need to know that it all holds. It's not like you're gonna need to search for the information somewhere outside. Obviously, guidance is very good throughout the process, but you need to focus on that. It's not, you're not gonna find your information somewhere else, because you hold that information. You hold that core memory. You hold the complex setting of the memories. You hold that the different emotion, like the frustration or the anger or whatever is in there. Maybe there might be even happiness closed because that wasn't safe for you to express. So it's a combination of these, and then you can access it anytime you're ready. You can access it even in the state where you're very fine, and as you get better, you can access it in the state of the active emotion. I would say activated suppression, activated package of suppressed emotion, where the migraine is active, for example. But if you have access to the migraine, if you have ever experienced this, you can access it even from the state when you're good, and you can go into your subconscious mind by just coming back to yourself, calling your energy back, and realizing what is happening in your body, asking the questions, listening. Yeah, and being there for yourself throughout the process and understanding. And this is very important, because the more we grow up, let's say, the more we suppress the emotions, or the more it's maybe sometimes expected, or the bigger they get. Okay, so let's imagine it as a ball, and it had one suppression from your childhood, and then another suppression later in your childhood, and then another suppression. So every time you suppress in the same activating situation, you suppress yourself and suppress these emotions that want to come up. It can be a series of emotions. Then you're adding to this and you're allowing it to manifest. And you can go the same way, but the opposite way. So you're releasing a layer. Okay, and if you're doing it consciously in the beginning of the self-healing journey, it might create a lot of emotional disbalance in the beginning, and you will be like, whoa, where's this? Like, I was fine 1 minute ago, and then I'm crying, or I feel extremely angry, and who do you feel angry at? And you need to know that this is all part of releasing the suppressed emotions, and you're doing this for preventing that the suppressed emotions manifest into something bigger. Because honestly, the migraine is just a state before it can manifest into something worse. And so you can do it consciously by accessing it, the suppressed emotions, but you need to understand that the suppressed emotions need to move again, need to get into that flow in order for them to be released. So you almost, in a way, you can expect them to come flooding out, and it might feel painful, but it might feel as joy. I have been releasing some emotions that when I wasn't, maybe a year ago, when I wasn't sure if I know what is feeling joy, and we had a energetical session. You can release them also with guidance, like a craniosacral therapy is highly recommended. It's a direct, if you feel like you can't access the high blockage maybe of energy, then a guidance like this is very good, because you can then learn how to work with your energy after you have experienced the energetical therapy. It's easier, I would say. And so we worked on this, and the release was joy and happiness and laughter and all of this, which I'm like an euphoric feeling. Those can be also locked because maybe even the seemingly positive ones weren't allowed for you to express. Maybe you have grown up in the environment where it wasn't possible for you to be happy, or not to be too happy, or not to be joyful and satisfied and even at peace. Okay, so often we have created dramatic situations and a pattern of dramatic situations because peace wasn't something allowed. There was just the triggering and the activation and the stress and the anger, maybe. That was maybe the comfort zone. That was maybe the normal state. So if you want to change that, and if you want your life to become peaceful, it only comes from the inside. Again, it's gonna be about looking for where the suppressed emotions are in your body and releasing them and allowing peace to enter. Because if there is like a great ball of anger and frustration, then probably you won't be able to even experience peace in your life. And so over time on the self-healing journey, you learn how to hold the space for you to be in a safe environment to release emotions. So this means, and then along the way you learn how to express the emotions so that they won't even have the tendency to store in your body anymore, because the pattern of the body remembers how you felt when you wanted to express certain emotions. So the body itself is already storing the uncomfortable situations, stashing them on top of each other, and after it's full, how I explained yesterday, after the capacity is filled, then the pain occurs. It doesn't occur just like that, suddenly out of nowhere. Okay, any chronic pain is a series of layers of accumulated suppressed emotions, and the body does it on its own. So whenever you're saying yes to something you would like to say no to, if someone is suggesting let's go outside and you would prefer to rest, for example, and you say okay, I'm going but I don't really want to, this is saying no to yourself and yes to someone else. And along the way you have to learn how to say yes to you, even if it disappoints someone, even if it makes someone uncomfortable, because you're not making someone uncomfortable. They can only make themselves uncomfortable, because it's, again, you're triggering something in another person, as someone can trigger that in you. And then the balance sets itself, okay? The people that are gonna be in that balance, in that new balance, are gonna stay, and the connection's gonna grow stronger. The ones that aren't gonna be in that balance of the way you want to respect yourself and you want to love yourself, then they will leave the situation, the scene, your reality. So that is allowing the flow. That is even allowing people to leave and people coming new. It's creating space because you are releasing the suppressed emotions. Therefore, there's space to experience new emotions, even express them. And then you learn how to express them in a way that it is sustainable for you. Because sometimes also we have learned to express emotions which at the same time are suppressing something in ourselves. For example, a common face or a mask in masking pain is when we talk about something really hurtful that happened to us, but we're laughing at the same time. And this is a very common coping mechanism of basically making the pain seem smaller and less painful, because we talk about it and joke about it and put on a smile. And this might be even a way, again, to suppress emotions, because you are not allowing yourself to feel and re-feel that grief. So in a way, you're protecting yourself, but in a way you might be suppressing something that is still there, and you need to experience it, and you need to allow the flow of it. But that depends. And why we do it is because it's amazing and it feels amazing, and the relief starts flooding in, and obviously you achieve less pain, and the relief and liberation is always at the other side when you allow your feelings to flow through you, and without your mind defining you by what you're experiencing. Oh yeah, this is a big important part, which I'm going to talk about now. So important part of doing consciously the relief of emotions is not identifying yourself with them, which means now you're ready. Okay, you're gonna visit your past and bring light to it, or go there with your power animal and change the point of view you have on the past and release the trigger in it, or forgive yourself, or bring light to it and liberate yourself from it. And you can do this as one step, okay? This is like, you can do this in a guided visualization, or you guide yourself there. And then you need to basically, in a way, even be ready of the for the suppressed emotions that release themselves in continuation of the release you did. And it doesn't have to happen at that moment, but it can happen along the way. So, especially with the energetic work and releasing mind programs and limiting beliefs. So when you release something from your mind, you need to be ready that probably something, not expected, but be okay with it, that some emotions will arise and they will basically question you. What are you going to do now? Are you going to allow them to flow and be released, be free, even free those emotions? Or are you going to suppress them again and take medication? And it takes time and practice, obviously. And so Yeah, so they come up, but important for the quick release, or for them to be released freely and for allowing the flow, you need to not identify yourself with them. So for example, you have done a release from your past and some emotions are coming up, so some sudden like rage and sudden anger and sudden frustration. You're suddenly frustrated and you don't even understand why. And usually how you would react, you would blame everyone else around you. But if you are doing the conscious energetic work, you can be ready for it and you can welcome it. Okay, this is how I feel, but I'm not my feeling. You must never identify with what you feel. You are a being. And you are not your fear. You are not your anger. You're not your joy. You're not your happiness. Those are just emotions that you can experience. Okay, but as soon as you identify with them and start punishing yourself even through them and judging yourself through them, like, why am I angry now? I don't want to be angry now, or I don't want to be like this, or I don't. So you're not accepting yourself the way with your emotions. And therefore, yeah, you're not accepting the truth, which is all of us. Okay, you can't not have the possibility to feel fear or to feel anger, because all of the emotions, which we call the good and bad ones, all of them are a package deal and you need all of them. If you never got angry and frustrated and sad and in, I don't know, some other emotion, then you wouldn't know how to set your boundaries, for example. And you wouldn't know how to value yourself. You wouldn't know how to respect yourself. You wouldn't know where the limit is, because the limit is always showing itself by the fear, or you can feel that that's not vibing with you, for example. So this is also an emotion that works for you. Okay, so even anger is here for you, fear is here for you, joy is here for you, all of these. And then obviously you can nuancely change what you express, because as you become more harmonized, as you release more and you become more okay with yourself, more wise and more satisfied with yourself, you accept yourself more no matter what you're doing. You don't define yourself by your results or by what you're feeling. Then in that state of more harmony, you're okay with yourself and you know that you can trust life, that it will take care of you and it will provide for you no matter what. If you are there, if you're present there in your life, if you're not, it's not just sitting back and letting others do something for you, but it's a conscious creation of life and knowing that the universe is there for you and you're consciously changing your mind patterns and creating through you, birthing the creation through you. Okay, so that's a very important part, not to identify with the emotions, because you are not the emotion. So if you identify with them, again you go back to lying to yourself, back to punishment, back to you're allowed or not allowed to feel fear or anger. No, you're perfectly allowed to feel anger. That's a perfect part of you, and you should feel anger if someone is stepping over your boundary. But obviously then you also have to know how you create your boundary and communicate it with yourself. What is that I want? Where can I move that boundary, that comfort zone? Where can I adjust it so that it's good for me and for everyone I want in my life? And yeah, and what else do I have here? Without your mind defining you by what you're experiencing. Yeah, and keeping in mind that you matter exactly the same way as someone else matters. And these moments make it all worth it. Yeah, when you release it all and you understand that you're not your emotions. Yeah, it makes it definitely worth it. Very liberating. And that's it for today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next live tomorrow. Bye.